That's 3,600 products from 35 U.S. states no longer available.
Something unusual is happening, and it didn't start in Washington, but on the empty liquor shelves across Canada.
That was bottled and designated for Canada that are sitting in our warehouse.
Inside the LCBO, the American whiskeys, the Kentucky bourbons that Premier Doug Ford has really honed in on, California wines, any U.S. ready-to-drink cocktails gone from the shelves.
Canada's booze ban is hitting American makers hard and fast. According to the Wall Street Journal, Canadian provinces have stopped ordering U.S.-made spirits, wine, and beer after a trade battle sparked earlier this year by President Trump's tariffs.
Canada's new booze ban is hitting American makers faster than anyone expected. According to the Wall Street Journal, provincial liquor boards across Canada have stopped ordering U.S.-made whiskey, wine, and beer. Retaliation from a trade dispute sparked by President Trump's tariffs earlier this year. Now warehouses in Kentucky and California are overflowing with products that were meant for Canadian shelves. 3,600 American beverages from 35 states are gone overnight. Inside the LCBO, the shelves once stacked with Jack Daniels and California Reds now sit bare, replaced by Canadian names like Crown Royal and 40 Creek. In just 3 months, American spirit exports to Canada have crashed by 85%, falling below $10 million, the lowest point since the modern liquor trade began. U.S. spirit sales have collapsed nationwide, down 66% in 2 months, with Ontario seeing an 80% plunge in American bourbon and whiskey sales. Even vodka, whiskey, and brandy prices are tumbling. Experts call it a new kind of prohibition, not enforced by police or politicians, but by the people themselves. Canadians are quietly clearing American bottles off their shelves, one purchase at a time. This crisis didn't come from tariffs alone. It began with a single, offhand remark. On September 30, 2025, behind closed doors with U.S. military officials, Donald Trump repeated a line from years ago. Canada should become the 51st state of the United States. It may have drawn laughter in Washington, but in Ottawa it landed like an insult. Within days, leaked audio went viral across Canadian social media. Over 8 million shares, and the hashtag #BuyCanadianOnly became the nation's rallying cry. From liberals to conservatives, Canadian leaders united in outrage, calling Trump's comment an attack on national sovereignty. Suddenly, American products, once symbols of partnership, became symbols of disrespect. And the first victim of that cultural shift? The drink that once united North America, American whiskey. What started as an online movement quickly became a full-blown boycott, powered by pride more than policy. Within weeks, the outrage turned into organized resistance. Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick ordered their liquor boards to remove all U.S. spirits from store shelves. This wasn't just a trade response, it was a statement. Bars and restaurants joined in, voluntarily removing Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. In Quebec, supermarkets promoted Canadian whiskey as a patriotic choice. By spring, the Buy Canadian movement was no longer a hashtag, it was a national mission. Then came the twist no one expected. In February 2026, Diageo, the multinational owner of Crown Royal, announced it would shut down its bottling plant in Ontario, cutting nearly 200 Canadian jobs. Premier Doug Ford, in a viral moment, poured himself a glass of Crown Royal on camera and vowed to review the province's $740 million contract with the company. Unions accused Diageo of caving to U.S. pressure under Trump's Made in America campaign. Within days, stores began pulling Crown Royal, Johnnie Walker, and even Guinness from their shelves. The brand that had benefited most from the boycott became its next casualty. By mid-2025, the damage was undeniable. U.S. spirit exports to Canada plunged more than 60%, leaving distilleries in Kentucky and Tennessee in crisis. Thousands of bourbon barrels sat unsold, and Brown-Forman, the maker of Jack Daniels, reported its steepest drop in a decade. Meanwhile, Canada's own economy bled jobs. Diageo's exit left hundreds unemployed and small towns struggling. Economists call it a symbolic war, one where both sides lose. The boycott's shockwaves spread beyond alcohol. U.S. farmers, truckers, and bottlers felt the sting as trade confidence eroded. Canadian manufacturers faced falling exports and factory slowdowns. And across North America, one unsettling truth emerged. Public emotion, not policy, was now steering the economy. Consumer trust, once the cornerstone of $900 billion in trade, was dissolving into suspicion. While U.S. and Canada traded blows, European distillers quietly took advantage. Brands like Jameson and Glenfiddich saw Canadian sales soar by over 40%, filling the void left by the American exodus. This wasn't just a temporary market dip. It was a shift in national behavior, a redefinition of loyalty, taste, and identity. Canada's economic landscape was being rewritten, one glass at a time. In the end, this was never just about alcohol. It was about identity, pride, and power. Both nations stand firm in their narratives, America in its drive to bring jobs home, and Canada in its defense of sovereignty. But beneath those headlines lies a sobering truth. Both are losing far more than they're gaining. As warehouses filled with unsold whiskey and factories close their doors, one question remains. Can trust ever return to North America's closest trade friendship? Or has a single glass of whiskey redrawn the map of the continent? If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. The next chapter in this unfolding trade saga might surprise us all. As trade tensions intensified, the whiskey war began spilling into politics. In Washington, lawmakers accused Canada of economic hostility, while in Ottawa, leaders framed the boycott as defending national dignity. Behind closed doors, business lobbies from both nations pleaded for compromise, warning that jobs were evaporating faster than diplomacy could recover. By summer, whispers of retaliation grew louder. New tariffs, border checks, and restrictions on agricultural goods loomed over both sides. The tension that began with a single comment was now shaping policy at the highest levels. And for the first time in decades, the world's friendliest border felt colder than ever. But while politicians argued, the real movement stayed in the hands of ordinary people. In Canada, consumers began celebrating local breweries and distilleries like folk heroes. Community festivals showcased homegrown whiskey, gin, and wine with pride, each bottle a symbol of independence. Meanwhile, across the border, American workers felt abandoned. Distilleries in Kentucky gave emotional interviews watching generations of craftsmanship sit unsold in warehouses. One veteran bourbon maker summed it up with a quiet sadness. "We didn't start this war, but we're the ones paying for it." From farmers to factory hands, the people who built the industry were now caught in a battle of pride they never asked for. By the end of 2026, trade analysts declared it plainly. North America had entered a cold trade war, not of weapons or sanctions, but of emotion and identity. Both countries, once pillars of economic unity, now stood at opposite ends of a cultural divide. And yet, hidden within the chaos, a lesson was emerging. Trust is more fragile than trade, and once it's broken, it takes generations to rebuild. As empty bottles collect dust and factories grow silent, one truth remains. Sometimes the most powerful revolutions begin not with governments or armies, but with consumers and the choices they make every day. So perhaps this story isn't about whiskey at all. It's about how a single glass revealed the true cost of pride between two neighbors who once called each other family.